The breaking point of American society, the late 1960s in America were a time of immense social and cultural upheaval. The Vietnam War, civil rights movements, youth counterculture, and widespread drug use were shaping society in profound ways. Amidst this chaos emerged Charles Manson, a man with a criminal past, a manipulative personality, and a dangerous charisma. By 1967, Manson had gathered a group of young followers who would later be known as the Manson family. His goal went far beyond personal influence. He envisioned a societal apocalypse he called Helter Skelter, a race war he believed he could ignite. In the summer of 1969, this vision would take a horrifying form. The man behind the myth, Charles Manson, was born on November 12, 1934, in Ohio. His early life was filled with neglect, crime, and instability. By his teenage years, he was already in and out of juvenile detention centers, where he developed manipulative skills and learned how to dominate others psychologically. Upon moving to California, Manson immersed himself in the emerging counterculture, hippies, free love, and psychedelic drugs. Through charm, intimidation, and a strange spiritual persona, he drew in young followers who were often vulnerable, lonely, or searching for meaning. A cult in the making, the Manson family consisted largely of young women, many of whom had left their families or were estranged. Notable members included Susan Atkins, Patricia Krenwinkel, Leslie Van Houten, and Tex Watson. Manson presented himself as both a spiritual leader and a paternal figure. He promised love, freedom, and purpose, but in reality, he demanded total obedience. Over time, his followers became entirely dependent on him, losing the ability to think independently. Path to murder. Manson's apocalyptic vision, Helter Skelter, was a predicted race war between black and white Americans. He believed that violent acts would trigger societal collapse, allowing him and his followers to survive and dominate. In 1969, Manson ordered his followers to commit a series of murders in wealthy Los Angeles neighborhoods, not just for personal gain, but to send a terrifying message to society. These killings were meticulously planned to maximize fear. Sharon Tate murder, August 9, 1969. Sharon Tate, a rising actress and wife of director Roman Polanski, became one of Manson's first targets. On the night of August 9, Manson's followers broke into Tate's home. The brutal killings shocked the nation. Tate, who was 8 months pregnant, and her friends were murdered in a night of horrifying violence. Leno and Rosemary LaBianca, August 10, 1969. The very next night, the family targeted another household, Leno and Rosemary LaBianca. The murders were gruesome and chaotic, with Manson orchestrating messages left in blood, meant to incite fear and chaos. These killings cemented the family's reputation and amplified the terror gripping Los Angeles. Investigation and arrests. Following the murders, the Los Angeles Police Department launched a massive investigation. Initially, the identities of the killers were unknown, fueling public panic. By September 1969, Manson and several family members were arrested. Investigators quickly realized the extent of his influence. He had manipulated followers into committing heinous crimes without hesitation or remorse. Many members confessed under police questioning, confirming Manson's absolute control over them. The trial, in 1971, Charles Manson and his followers faced trial. The courtroom drama captivated the nation. Manson, ever defiant, often mocked the proceedings, attempting to manipulate the media and jury. The trial revealed the chilling reality of Manson's influence and the psychological hold he had over his followers. Ultimately, Manson and several members were sentenced to life imprisonment, with the death penalty initially imposed but later commuted. Media and cultural impact. The Manson family murders had a profound impact on American society. Fear and paranoia. People became wary of strangers, and neighborhoods, particularly Beverly Hills, adopted heightened security measures. Counterculture scrutiny. Manson's association with hippie culture cast suspicion on youth movements, painting them as potentially dangerous. Psychological awareness. The public became fascinated and fearful of the power of manipulation, cult dynamics, and charismatic leaders. Psychological analysis. Manson exercised total psychological control over his followers, demonstrating characteristics typical of cult leadership: isolation. Members were cut off from family, friends, and society. Charismatic authority. Manson's presence and persona dominated his followers' decisions. Brainwashing, drugs, music, and constant reinforcement ensured compliance. Apocalyptic ideology. The helter-skelter scenario gave followers a sense of mission and justification for murder. This case remains a critical study in psychology and criminology, illustrating the mechanisms by which individuals can be manipulated to commit extreme acts. Long-term societal effects. The reverberations of the Manson family murders were felt for decades. Pop culture, films, books, and music drew inspiration from the family, embedding Manson's shadow in American culture. Legal reforms. Discussions about the death penalty, life imprisonment, and psychological evaluations intensified. Social anxiety. Communities became more vigilant, questioning the safety of suburban life. Psychological education. The case became a textbook example of manipulation, cult behavior, and the vulnerability of youth. Manson's death and legacy. Charles Manson died in prison in 2017, but the terror he inflicted remained etched in public consciousness. The family murders serve as a stark reminder of the dangers of charismatic leaders, blind obedience, and societal vulnerability. A society forever changed. The events of 1969 were not just a series of brutal murders, they were a psychological shock to a nation. Fear and uncertainty. Ordinary Americans realized that violence could strike anyone, anywhere. Cultural reflection. The murders prompted debates about morality, youth culture, and authority. Psychological lessons. The case continues to educate society about the power of manipulation and the fragility of social order. The Charles Manson family murders remain a chilling testament to how a single manipulative individual can exploit societal unrest to horrific effect. A society forever changed. The events of 1969 were not just a series of brutal murders, they were a psychological shock to a nation. Fear and uncertainty. Ordinary Americans realized that violence could strike anyone, anywhere. Cultural reflection. The murders prompted debates about morality, youth culture, and authority. Psychological lessons. The case continues to educate society about the power of manipulation and the fragility of social order. The Charles Manson family murders remain a chilling testament to how a single